Chapter 5. Forces. Overview. This chapter discusses how to create an overwhelming and unstoppable momentum in warfare and how to skillfully exploit it. What is momentum? Sun Tzu compares it to the force of a torrent strong enough to carry away rocks, the tension of a drawn bow ready to release an arrow, or a boulder rolling down from a cliff, an irresistible force that crushes everything in its path. Striking the enemy with such momentum enables one to defeat many with few and become invincible. The impact of rushing water can sweep away stones because of its generated momentum. A hunting bird that swiftly dives from the sky to snatch its prey succeeds by seizing the precise moment. Thus, those skilled in warfare always build an overwhelming momentum and seize the briefest of opportunities. Their momentum is like a fully drawn bow, dangerous and intense. Their timing is like pulling the trigger, sudden and immediate. How is such momentum created? First, one must establish conditions that ensure overwhelming power against the enemy. Then, one must choose the right person and entrust them with momentum. That is, appoint commanders who are well-versed in military affairs and capable of employing soldiers with flexibility and insight. These commanders use deception to mislead the enemy, lure them with minor gains, and then ambush them decisively with concealed forces. 1. The art of military organization and tactical flexibility. Sun Tzu said, "In general, governing a large army is like managing a small one. It is a matter of organization and structure. Commanding a large army in battle is like commanding a small one. It is a matter of efficient communication and orders. When a well-organized force is attacked but does not fall into chaos, it is because of the skillful application of orthodox and unorthodox tactics. When an enemy's offensive is met like smashing an egg with a rock, it is due to the use of the strategy of avoiding strength and striking weakness. The general principle of warfare is to engage with regular forces and achieve victory through surprise attacks. Those who are skilled in using surprise tactics in warfare are as unpredictable as the movements of heaven and earth, and as inexhaustible as the flow of rivers and seas. Their strategies, like the sun and moon, follow a cycle of renewal. Their momentum, like the changing seasons, constantly returns. Reflections. Sun Tzu here raises the issues of military governance and tactics. He believes that managing an army first requires a rational organizational structure, enabling smooth coordination between superiors and subordinates to facilitate effective command. Secondly, information must be handled promptly so that orders from commanders can be delivered swiftly and accurately, allowing for efficient mobilization and control. Furthermore, in the application of tactics, one must achieve victory through surprise, attacking weakness with strength, following principles without being bound by them, adapting flexibly to changing situations so that the enemy cannot predict your moves, thus securing success. This is clearly illustrated by the Song dynasty's poorly organized military. First, soldiers lacked autonomy. Second, generals lacked real authority. And third, there was a disastrous surplus of idle troops. As a result, the Song military was consistently weak and frequently humiliated by foreign powers, highlighting the critical importance of effective military governance. 2. The infinite power of variation. The general principle of warfare is to engage with regular forces and achieve victory through surprise attacks. Those who are skilled in using surprise tactics in warfare are as unpredictable as the movements of heaven and earth, and as inexhaustible as the flow of rivers and seas. Their strategies, like the sun and moon, follow a cycle of renewal. Their momentum, like the changing seasons, constantly returns. There are only 5 fundamental musical notes, yet their variations can create endless melodies. There are only 5 primary colors, but their combinations produce an infinite array of shades. There are only 5 basic tastes, but their blending yields countless flavors. Likewise, in warfare, there are only 2 primary methods: conventional, regular, and unconventional surprise tactics, but the variations of these 2 are endless. Their transformations are like a circle in constant motion, never ceasing. Who can possibly exhaust them? Reflections. In general warfare, battles are usually fought using regular forces, while victory is achieved through the use of surprise forces. Therefore, those who are skilled in winning through unexpected means have tactics that are as boundless as the movements of heaven and earth, and as unceasing as the flow of rivers and seas. They come to an end only to begin again, like the rising and setting of the sun and moon. They disappear only to return, like the changing of the four seasons. There are only 5 basic tones: gong, shang, ju, ji, and yu, yet their combinations produce endless melodies. There are only 5 basic colors: red, yellow, blue, white, and black, yet their combinations yield infinite visual variations. There are only 5 basic tastes: sour, sweet, bitter, spicy, and salty, yet their combinations create countless flavors that can never be fully exhausted. The interplay of orthodox and unorthodox tactics is infinitely variable. In warfare, there is no fixed method of engagement, nor any rigid set of strategies. Only by adapting to circumstances and winning through surprise can one defeat the enemy. Thus, Sun Tzu states, the transformations of the orthodox and the unorthodox are endless. He believed that the orthodox and the unorthodox rely on each other and constantly shift back and forth. Through this dynamic interplay, opportunities are created to strike the enemy unexpectedly, catching them off guard and achieving victory through surprise. During the Three Kingdoms period, Zhuge Liang was known for his cautious approach to warfare. After the loss of Jieting, the strategic situation became dire. Sima Yi led his troops straight toward Zhuge Liang's command center at Xiqing. At the time, Zhuge Liang had deployed his main forces elsewhere, leaving only a few hundred soldiers in the city, and reinforcements could not return in time. Facing a critical threat, Zhuge Liang ordered the city gates to be opened wide, maintained perfect order within the city, and calmly sat atop the city wall playing the zither. The Wei troops halted in front of the city, hesitant to advance. Fearing an ambush, Sima Yi ordered a retreat. This famous empty city ruse exemplifies Zhuge Liang's deep understanding of the interplay between the orthodox and the unorthodox. By deviating from conventional tactics and embracing transformation, he seized the initiative and turned the crisis into an advantage. 3. Harnessing chaos, mastery through momentum. The torrent of a rapid current is powerful enough to carry away boulders. This is the momentum it creates. The swooping hawk strikes with precision because of its swift timing. This is its rhythm. A master of warfare creates formidable momentum and strikes with brief but overwhelming force. The pressure of his formation is like a tightly drawn bow, and the speed of his attack is like a released arrow. When banners are disordered and troops are in chaos, yet the army can maintain discipline and unity in such confusion. This is true mastery in commanding forces. When the battlefield is like a turbulent flood, indistinguishable and tangled, the commander must deploy his troops with precision and maintain formation to avoid defeat. Reflections. Through his discussion of strategic momentum, and jie, timing and rhythm, Sun Tzu emphasizes the importance of leveraging the situation on the battlefield, grasping the tempo, controlling distance, and seizing fleeting opportunities to overwhelm the enemy with swift and forceful momentum. Sun Tzu believed that creating and exploiting momentum, along with well-structured troop deployments, could fully unleash military strength. A skilled commander should be able to create formidable conditions, like rushing water so forceful it sweeps away boulders, and utilize compact, decisive timing, like the force of a drawn crossbow with a trigger quick to release, thus enabling the army to strike with unstoppable ferocity. In the year 986 AD, the Liao army invaded the Song dynasty and laid siege outside the city of Daizhou. The local governor, Zhang Qixian, sought reinforcements from General Pan Mei, who responded by dispatching troops. However, en route, Pan Mei received an imperial order and was forced to withdraw. Zhang Qixian reasoned that while the Liao forces may have known about the Song reinforcements, they were likely unaware of their withdrawal. He ordered 200 soldiers, each carrying a flag, to feign an army 30 li, about 15 kilometers, west of the city, and position 2,000 elite troops in ambush along the enemy's retreat path. When fires lit up the horizon, the Liao army mistakenly believed Song reinforcements had arrived and immediately began to retreat. Zhang Qixian opened the city gates and launched an attack while the ambushed troops struck from behind. The Liao army suffered a crushing defeat and the siege on Daizhou was lifted. Zhang Qixian skillfully exploited the momentum created by Pan Mei's earlier movements, tricking the enemy into retreating, then launched a rapid ambush and counterattack. With limited forces, he turned the tide of battle. His use of treacherous momentum and sharp timing was truly a decisive stroke in a moment of crisis. 4. Strength in disguise, the power behind deception. Pretending to be disorganized stems from highly structured military organization. Feigning cowardice comes from possessing true courage and agility. Acting weak is a tactic when one's forces are in fact strong. Order and disorder in the army are matters of organization and formation. Courage and fear depend on battlefield conditions. Strength and weakness arise from the relative comparison of power between the two sides. Reflections. Sun Tzu viewed order and chaos, courage and fear, strength and weakness as unified opposites, contradictory forces that can transform into one another under certain conditions. This shows that all elements of warfare are in constant flux. In battle, one must stay alert to the shifting dynamics of the battlefield and respond accordingly, seizing the fleeting opportunities that lead to victory. Since order can become chaos, bravery can turn into fear and strength into weakness, and vice versa. It is only through constant vigilance and caution that one can maintain control over the situation. In the long river of history, there are both unstoppable mainstream currents and sudden twists and turns. Society experiences both peaceful, orderly times and chaotic eras of conflict among rival powers. In times of turmoil, heroes emerge. The truly successful heroes are those who can adapt to the abnormality of chaos and use extraordinary methods to restore order, who can think what others dare not think and do what others dare not do. By breaking conventions and winning through the unexpected, they re-establish order, reinstate structure, and transform chaos into governance. This is the paradoxical brilliance of the unexpected, the strategic wonder born from disorder, and the very embodiment of order arising from chaos. 5. Luring with profit, striking with power, the art of guiding and ambushing the enemy. Thus, one who excels at directing the enemy shapes their expectations, causing them to follow his lead. Luring them with profit ensures they respond, offering advantage brings them into traps. Using benefit to entice the enemy and strong forces to strike them is the art of war. Reflections. Sun Tzu believed that if one could use strategy to influence the enemy's actions and lure them into a trap, it would be possible to create a favorable situation and ultimately achieve victory. Therefore, an excellent commander is skilled at analyzing the enemy's psychology and leveraging various factors to manipulate their movements, enticing them with apparent gains and catering to their desires, thus laying the groundwork for their complete destruction. War is fundamentally a contest for advantage. If we actively offer bait in the form of profit, the enemy will inevitably rush in to seize it. Conversely, if we pose a clear threat in a specific area, the enemy will be compelled to respond to avoid suffering losses. In this way, one hand manages the enemy's desire for gain, while the other manages the enemy's fear of harm, allowing us to lead the enemy by the nose on the battlefield. If this is done effectively, it enables the execution of the tactic proposed in this chapter, luring the enemy in order to annihilate them. As Sun Tzu said, thus, one who excels at directing the enemy shapes their expectations, causing them to follow his lead. Luring them with profit ensures they respond. Offering advantage brings them into traps. Using benefit to entice the enemy and strong forces to strike them is the art of war. That is, create the illusion of opportunity, draw the enemy commander into action, let them come in pursuit of profit, and then spring the trap with ambush forces. Sun Tzu summarized the most effective methods for maneuvering the enemy into two main approaches. Seize the initiative. Strike first to gain tactical superiority and control the situation. Present a facade of weakness. Lure the enemy into misjudging reality and compel them to act according to your plan. Ultimately, both methods aim at the same goal: to control the time and place of battle. More specifically, attacking the enemy's weakness with your strength can be approached on several levels. In Sun Tzu's view, first, one must cause others to move while remaining unmoved oneself. Second, one must operate so subtly as to be formless and so mysteriously as to be soundless. Third, as water flows according to the contours of the land, so must warfare adapt to the enemy in order to prevail. These ideas will be discussed in greater detail in the next chapter. 6. Creating favorable conditions and choosing the right troops. A skillful commander creates favorable momentum and conditions rather than demanding flawless soldiers. Hence, by leveraging momentum, he is able to select and shape his forces for success. Reflections. Sun Tzu here emphasizes the importance of leveraging strategic advantage, sure, and selecting the right individuals. He believed that creating a favorable momentum is essential for winning a war. However, such momentum must be understood and utilized by capable people. Therefore, choosing the right talent is the key to creating and capitalizing on advantageous situations. History offers countless examples of military defeats caused by poor judgment in appointing the right personnel, which led to the loss of strategic advantage. Thus, rulers and commanders must make wise choices at critical moments to secure advantageous positions and achieve ultimate victory. When King Wen of Zhou encountered Jiang Ziya by the Wei River, and when Xiao pursued Han Fin under the moonlight, these were prime examples of choosing the right people to seize the strategic moment. In warfare, if a leader can select talent and harness momentum appropriately, they will gain the initiative and a decisive edge in battle. 7. Harnessing the power of momentum, commanding forces like rolling stones. Those who understand momentum command troops like rolling logs or stones. Logs and stones are stable on level ground but move on steep slopes. Square shapes stop easily, round shapes roll swiftly. So the momentum created by a skilled general is like a round boulder tumbling down from a great mountain. It is unstoppable. This is what is meant by the power of sure, the force of momentum. Reflections. In the art of war, sure is mentioned repeatedly. Sun Tzu consistently held that to win a war, one must excel at creating and harnessing sure, understanding that the key to victory lies in creating and utilizing favorable momentum. Sure represents a nation's military strength, its deployment, and its exertion. Fighting under advantageous momentum delivers greater impact and fully unleashes the power of sure. The Mongols launched 3 campaigns against the Song dynasty. The first, led by Ogidi Khan, and the second, led by Meng Khan, both failed due to long battle lines and dispersed forces, resulting in heavy losses and retreats without success. The third campaign, however, led by Kublai Khan, broke through at Xiongfan. As a surrender general remarked, Xiongfan is the Song's throat. If the throat is blocked, how can they avoid defeat? This shows that once Xiongfan was lost, the Song's overall situation naturally collapsed. The momentum generated by this situation was unstoppable. It can be said that Kublai Khan was a master at leveraging sure. In the early Tang dynasty, Li Shimin's decisive victory over Song Jingang also depended on sure. Knowing how to use momentum, Li Shimin ultimately secured a great triumph. In 619 AD, the separatist Lu Wuzhou from northern Jin led troops to capture Bingzhou. His general Song Jingang then took Jinzhou, seized Longmen, and advanced toward Huaizhou. Upon hearing the news, Emperor Gaozu of Tang, Li Yuan, immediately ordered Li Shimin to command all forces in Guangzhou, cross the Yellow River, and confront Song Jingang's army near Baibi. All Tang generals urged an immediate decisive battle with Song Jinggang. However, Li Shimin recognized that although Song Jingang's forces were elite and high in morale, they were deep in enemy territory with difficult supplies reliant entirely on local plunder. Engaging immediately would actually play into the enemy's hands. Therefore, Li Shimin advocated for conserving strength and delaying battle to wear down the enemy's edge. Additionally, part of the Tang army was sent to attack the enemy's rear areas. Soon, Song Jinggang would be forced to retreat due to exhausted supplies and attacks on his base. At that time, an assault would surely be effective. In April the next year, Song Jinggang indeed had to withdraw because of attacks on his rear and lack of supplies. Seeing the opportunity, Li Shimin immediately ordered pursuit. When they reached Jiabiling, the commander Lu Hongji advised Li Shimin, "You have done great work chasing the enemy here. The soldiers are tired. We should rest and regroup locally, gather supplies, and then continue the pursuit." Li Shimin replied, "Achievements are hard to make but easy to lose. Opportunities are hard to come by but easy to miss. Now that Song Jinggang is forced to flee and his troops are scattered, we must seize this moment to crush the enemy. If we stop the pursuit, Song Jinggang will have time to rest and reorganize, and then we will lose the chance for a smooth attack." So, the Tang army continued the pursuit. Finally, the Tang forces caught up with Song Jingang's army at Kaishu Valley. Li Shimin led a fierce attack, routing Song Jingang's troops completely. After their defeat, Lu Wuzhou and Song Jinggang fled to the Turks. At this time, Li Shimin had not eaten for 2 days, and the Tang army's supplies were almost exhausted, with only 1 sheep left. Li Shimin shared it with his soldiers. Though supplies were cut off, Li Shimin made full use of his advantages to defeat the powerful enemies Lu Wuzhou and Song Jinggang. It can be said he maximized his strengths to the utmost.